Okay, with only a few weeks left before Rosh Hashanah Yom Kipur, we're going to spend these next couple of weeks in the class of the power of our prayers of Tefillah, going through parts of the Machzor, parts of the Siddur, which we're not used to doing throughout the year, to give us the insight and the understanding in what the awesomeness of these days and these tefillahs of these special prayers of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur really is all about. So here, everybody should take a machzor so that they can look along. They can look along inside. And I'm going to be using primarily a sefer called Avodas HaTfilah, which means the avodah, the service of our prayers, which is a beautiful sefer that was written already years and years and years ago, where he goes word by word through the prayers and he explains them simply but profoundly. And I want to just start today with his psicha, his opening introductory remarks, that we should understand what exactly is taking place on Rosh Hashanah and why it is that our tefillah, our prayers are so central to the day. And he says over the following idea, and that is that in a sefer called Seder Hayom, he writes, Deliyos tefillos hayomim ha'elu, that these prayers on the days of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur are meshunais benuschais. They are different in the language that is used, ubi inyonim, and in the messages and the concepts and the ideas that we have in our regular weekly or even Shabbos prayers. And therefore, tzarich lechavein behem yosem min aroi. Therefore, a person has to expend extra effort to have the proper kavanah, the proper intention when we are davening on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Since the words are different and the ideas are different, and as we will see, we're talking about life and death over here. We're not talking about just asking Hashem that He should give us wisdom, or asking Hashem for refuah shlema, or asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu He should rebuild the city in Yerushalayim like we beg for each and every single day. We are literally going to be asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu for life and not for death. For all the brachas of the entire year are dependent upon our tefillahs, our prayers on Rosh Hashanah. And therefore writes the Seder Hayom how important it is that a person is aware of the differences in the words of prayer and the messages of prayer of these Yomim Noraim, these days of awe, and therefore puts in the extra effort to try to have the greatest kavanah, the intention that he possibly can have during these days. And he continues and he writes, someone that will look inside of the holy words of the Arizal, who was the master of Kabbalah, of mystical Judaism, of the Kabbalistic Judaism. The famous Arizal who lived out the end of his life in Sfas in Eretz Yisrael, who lived a short life, but in his short, brief life, 40 years I believe, he was able to accomplish what people in 25 lifetimes cannot accomplish. And he was known, the Arizal, for going through the Siddur and the Machzor, and there's something called the Kavanas Ha'ari, which are the deep mystical ideas that the Arizal adds into all of the davening. And he writes, if a person would look inside of the work of the Arizal, and they would begin to study the kavanah, the intention that he says a person should have with the words, Tisamer sa'aros roishai, your hairs on the back of your neck would stand up. You are literally, with the words of prayer that we say on Rosh Hashanah, we are making so many imprints in the heavens. We are being mashbiah, we are having an impact on the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. Things that are out of line in the spiritual realms, they go back into the right direction because of the prayers that we say on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And it's the whole world, and of course it's our life as we are begging HaKadosh Baruch Hu for another year of life. If we would understand what the Arizal is saying, we'd be able to fathom how great the prayers are. And he writes, therefore a person must try at least to have good kavanah, good intention, and understanding the perish hamilos in the translation of the words Bisoirus libay hatahor, with an enthusiasm and an arousal of a pure heart. That's the way that a person should be davening on Rosh Hashanah, how he should be praying on Yom Kippur, that he has to recognize every word that's coming out of my mouth. It's changing my entire destiny for the up and coming year. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is deciding so much based, what do we do on Rosh Hashanah? We do basically three things. We eat, we sleep, and we daven. That's it. Of those three things that a person does on Rosh Hashanah, what do you think is the most important aspect of the day? I know the apple and the honey is good, that's true. But the most important aspect of the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, and then again on Yom Kippur, is the davening that a person is going to be engaged in. And the Arizal himself writes how lofty and how high up our prayers can extend into the heavens on these days. And we have to realize that has the magnitude of our prayers, in order that we should take it seriously. And he brings over here a beautiful thing. The Noda B'Yehuda, one of the great halachic authorities of his generation, writes the following: Shekosav da kavanu hu rak perish hamilos. When we speak about kavanu, we speak about the intention that a person's supposed to have when they daven. We speak about the understanding of the words of prayer that we say. All you have to know is hamilos, the perush, the translation of the words themselves of prayer. The Arizal is talking about very lofty ideas, mystical ideas. Kol ha-tikunim l'mayla, all of these tikkunim, all these spiritual fixing ups of that's going to take place in the higher realms, nasim aleim, it'll take place by itself. You come on Rosh Hashanah, you look inside of your machzor, you look at the word in Hebrew, you look next to the word in English, you think about what we're going to learn in class together, and realize that if I just understand the simple taich, the simple explanation or the translation of these words, that's all that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from me. There's spiritual things that are taking place, mystical ideas that are laden within each and every letter and every word, that I don't have to occupy myself with. HaKadosh Baruch Hu designed the words of prayer in such a way, it'll happen by itself. But if I don't understand what I'm saying, so then the words themselves don't carry the weight that they need to. And then he goes on and he writes further. And he says that the Meiri, who was one of the Rishonim, one of the earlier commentators, we're talking about a time a little bit after Rashi and the Rambam, but in that era, the Meiri writes, he says, the cave and the bezazman is since that during the days of Rosh Hashanah and the day of Yom Kippur, a person needs inspiration. A person needs to feel elevated. A person has to come to a davening. It's long. Davening, the prayers of Rosh Hashanah is very long. It's from 8 o'clock in the morning till 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on where you daven. Maybe 7 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock. If you're in yeshiva, till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's very long. How does a person going to generate the excitement and the energy and the enthusiasm that they need to carry themselves through all of that? So he writes, Chazal Tiknu. Therefore the sages came along. She'echadshu b'chol habrachos. And they introduced new blessings, new words, new concepts in our tefillos, l'oyer es ha'adam, to arouse and inspire and awaken a person. Because when there's something there's new, when there's something that's a different idea than we normally have, it catches my attention. I have to make sure that I'm aware of what it is that I'm saying, and I can have even more kavanah, more insight and understanding and appreciation of the prayers that I'm saying on Rosh Hashanah. So the Meiri says a beautiful idea, that the reason that Chazal, the sages, came along and they changed the tefillah of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur so that it's so much different than we have during the year, is specifically to wake us up. When you go through regular davening on a daily basis, So we're not going to say any Lashon Hara about ourselves, but we could sleep right through our prayers and we wouldn't even know the difference. We could go through a Shemona Esrei, Shachris, Mincha, Mariv, same feeling or lack of feeling and emotion, don't understand the words any better than I didn't understand them yesterday. And we just go. But comes Rosh Hashanah, and I look in the Machzor, and I see so many new prayers that are there, so many new words, different brachas, different statements, different proclamations that I'm saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with joy and with simcha. That itself is a chidush, that's something new, and it awakens a person up on the day of Rosh Hashanah to recognize how valuable the day should be spent in our communing with our tefillas, our prayers to Hashem. And then a little more I want to read for you. And he writes like this, that the Tur, who was the great halachic authority of his generation, he writes the following: the midin Torah afilu shofar pashut kosher. He says, if you examine the Gemara and you examine the all of the details of a shofar, so we know that we have a part of the way that the shofar is that it's kafuf, it's bent over. Why do you have to have a shofar that's bent over? And the Torah writes that according to the Torah itself, a shofar pashut is kosher. A little straight shofar. You don't have to have bent, small, straight. Everything would be fine. However, Amru Chazal, yiska b'shofar kafuf. But the sages say, no, you want to fulfill the obligation, the mitzvah of blowing the shofar in the best possible way, the shofar should be bent. Why should it be bent? V'taima isam Yerushalmi, in the Gemara in the Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Talmud, it says, Kadesh yichfafu libam bitfila. The reason that the shofar has to be bent over, has to be a bent horn and not a straight one, is that we should take a lesson from the shofar and realize, just as the shofar is bent, just as the shofar is bent over like this, so too shichfafu libam tefillah, I want to bend and subjugate my heart as well in the prayers that I am uttering during the holy days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. V'rayim mizeh, we see from this shatfilo hu tzir merkazi, that our tefillah is the central action which we are going to be involved with on Rosh Hashanah. And therefore the Chazal, the sages, came along and they said, when you have a shofar, the shofar should be a symbol to the Jewish people of how we are supposed to be on Rosh Hashanah as well. Kafuf, which means I want to subjugate, I want to be machniya, I want to humble my heart in front of the Ribbono Shel Olam. And when does a person do that? Dafka b'tefillah, specifically during our prayers. Of course, we have to walk around the entire day of Rosh Hashanah. For 2 days, we have to walk around like tzaddikim, we have to walk around, we have to speak the right way, we have to treat people in the right way, we have to think about the right things, we have to stay humble, of course. But where is a person going to be able to express that the most? That's in our prayers, just like the shofar is bent. So too we have to be subjugated and humble and bent before the Ribbono Shel Olam. That's what we see from there. Then he brings down that the Pele Yoetz, who is a fascinating sefer, which goes the Aleph base, he goes through all the letters of the alphabet in Hebrew, and he picks major topics in Jewish thought throughout the sefer for every single letter. In the Reish, which is Rosh Hashanah, when he's talking about Rosh Hashanah, he writes, Yispalalu b'kavona gedoyla. A person should daven, they should pray with tremendous kavona intention. B'achna rabba, with a humbled heart. B'kol boichim, with a voice of crying, a crying voice. B'noyam siach, pleasant words. B'safa brewer, with clear speech. Ois ba'ois, letter by letter. Teva b'teva, word for word. B'diktuk otzum, tremendous exactness in the way that you say over the words. Says the Pele Yoetz, Number one, you have to have great kavanah. Number two, you have to be humble. Number three, there should be some kind of sound of crying that is coming from your voice when you are davening. Number two, pleasant. The words of our prayers on Rosh Hashanah, they should be pleasant, they should be clear, every single word, every single letter, and it should be b'dikduk atzam. We should make sure that we're pronouncing the words to the best of our abilities in the right way. Now he points out over here, there's a famous machlekes, a discussion between the Arizal and the Vilna Gaon. The Arizal said he doesn't know how it's possible that a person does not cry on Rosh Hashanah. The awe, the magnitude of the day, how does a person not cry on Rosh Hashanah? And the Vilna Gaon said, I don't understand how a person could cry on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, the day that every Jew gets to stand before the Ribbono Shel Olam and be mamlechim and say, you are my king, I am your servant. You're crying about that. You should be dancing for joy on Rosh Hashanah because it's the greatest day of the year for the Jewish people. We become the Avadim and he is our Melech and we serve him with all of our hearts. That's a cause for great cheer and great joy. So how do we reconcile? The Arizal said you should cry. The Vilna Gaon says you shouldn't cry. So he wants to say that maybe that's what it means over here in the words of the Pele Yaitz. He doesn't say cry. He says b'kol boichim. It should be a voice of crying. I mean, your voice should sound tearful. It should sound emotional. It should sound... But who says that you have to cry? The other way that the Mefarshim, the commentators, answer over here is that it's true the Vilna Gaon says you're not allowed to cry. But if you get lifted up to such a level of, the Vilna Gaon says not to cry. You're not supposed to cry in Rosh Hashanah. Yom Kippur, yes. But on Rosh Hashanah, no. But the answer for the Vilna Gaon that even though the Vilna Gaon says you're not allowed to cry in Rosh Hashanah, however, if you would get to the point where you felt so much dveikis, so much closeness to Hashem, you felt that you're peeling away the body and your neshama is communing with the Ribbono Shel Olam, and your yirah shamayim, your fear of heaven, your awe of the Ribbono Shel Olam, the impact of the day, your connection with Hashem is so great, and that automatically on its own you are brought to tears, even the Vilna Gaon says that's fine. But don't force yourself to cry because it's Rosh Hashanah. If it happens, says the Vilna Gaon, if it happens, or they explain in the Vilna Gaon, because of your great levels of dveikis, of closeness to Hashem, that would be permissible, and that's the way they want to say. That's what the Arizal was talking about. The Arizal, certainly, who was on that level of dveikis, of closeness to Hashem, who understood what is the impact of the day of Rosh Hashanah, how great and how awesome it is, certainly that's the level that he was living on. And just to conclude over here with one last beautiful idea, and then we'll go into the words of the prayers itself. And it says over here, in the name of the Jerushi Hatzlach, that Tzlach was also a great giant of Torah in his generation. And he says the following, Kishemis Palel b'Rosh Hashanah b'Kavona. Yeah, when a person, listen to these amazing words, when a person davens on Rosh Hashanah with Kavona, with intention, Ma'ala u'misakin kol atfilais, he raises up, he elevates, and he corrects all of the tefillos, all of the prayers, shel koil hashana, from the entire year, shelo hispala b'kavana, that he did not pray with kavana, with intention throughout the year. V'az yiskablu kol atfilos ha'elu lifnei zeh nidachim, and then all of the prayers that we said throughout the year that were not such good davening, no kavana, no intention, I was half asleep, I was half awake, I didn't read the words, I mouthed the words, I looked at the words with my eyes, I didn't say them, whatever I did, I had no kavana. If I daven properly on Rosh Hashanah, listen to the schus that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us. Not only does he listen to our prayers of Rosh Hashanah, and as we're saying over here, how awesome and how amazing they are, but they have the ability to lift up all of the prayers throughout the year that were pushed off and damaged and broken and never made it much farther than my lips, because there was no oomph behind my prayers during the year. And therefore, if there was a Tuesday that I had a really bad day of prayer, somewhere in the middle of the year, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows about that prayer, and it's kind of like sitting around on deck, so to speak, of tefillos, of prayers that were said. And if I now daven b'kavan on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem says, oh, I see that you're really someone who knows how to daven b'kavan. You're someone who gets excited about your tefillas. You put in the energy and the enthusiasm that you need. I'm now going to elevate and to lift up your prayers from the rest of the year, and they are going to be niskabel, they are going to be accepted on Rosh Hashanah as well. And therefore, sheyasim nafsho b'chapei lechavi keroi, put your nefesh, put your soul into your hands, and you should daven properly. Ubezem ma'alnim atfilos hapsulos shekol Hashanah, and with this you elevate all of the puzzle, all of the not inappropriate, but all of the unused and all of the prayers which were no good throughout the year, you bring them up before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is what we could accomplish on Rosh Hashanah. It's not just coming to daven and hear the nice singing of the chazan and see how everybody gets into it, or they don't, whatever it is. It's a lot about our individual connection that we have with prayer and the way in which we're going to express that to Hashem. If we spend the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah and the 1 day of Yom Kippur properly, and we try our best, again, our best, it's long, it's arduous, it's hard to pay attention, and again, in every generation, gets worse and worse and worse. We are a generation that has a very short attention span. We are a generation that's used to texting every 0.3 seconds and checking our email every 5 seconds and seeing what's on the radio and what's on the news and changing this channel. So it's hard to stay focused. But if we make an effort on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem will give us siyata d'shemaya. If we make an effort on Yom Kippur, He will certainly give us siyata d'shemaya to do that as well. And through that, we lift up not only the prayers of Rosh Hashanah, but that's the miracle of prayer over here, is we can actually elevate all of the prayers that were wasted throughout the year, and they will also come before Hashem on Rosh Hashanah, and we have even more of an impact in the heavens, and we have more of an impact that is being spoken on our behalf in front of Hashem. That's the introduction to our tefillas, our prayers of Rosh Hashanah. Now let's look inside the machzor together, that we can see some of the different ideas and different words that we say. So it says like this in our prayers. It says the following. It says, we go through the regular beginning of the Shemona Esrei, page 62. Everybody should turn to page 62. We begin the Shemona Esrei in the regular way, which we explained already at length, probably more than 2 years ago in our prayrs tefillos in our class. And then at the end, or before the end of the first paragraph, you'll see there in the bold letters it says, Zachrenu lechayim melech chafetz b'chayim. Remember us lechayim, for life. Melech chafetz b'chayim, the king who desires life. V'chasveinu b'sefer hachayim, and you should write us in the book of life. L'ma'ancha Elokim Chayim, for your sake, Elokim Chayim, the living God. This is the first insert that we have in the Yomim Noraim, and as we know, it's going to carry us through the Yisrael Semei Tshuva, all of the days in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and then it will go all the way through Yom Kippur till the very end by Ne'ilah. By Ne'ilah, we're going to change the words just a little bit. Instead of saying V'kasveinu b'sefer chayim, write us in the book of life, we beg at that moment V'chasmeinu, He should seal us in the book of life. But these words Kasveinu b'sefer chayim are going to be with us for a very long time. Now, what exactly are we asking for over here during this time? And we have to remember, as we approach Rosh Hashanah every single year, that in reality HaKadosh Baruch Hu is judging the entire universe, and He's judging every man, woman, child. He's judging even every animal and every animal kingdom and every blade of grass. Everything in the world is being judged on Rosh Hashanah. But the Tachlis Habriya, the purpose of all of the creation, is Adam, is man. Mankind is the center of the entire universe. And the center of mankind is Klal Yisrael, is the Jewish people. As we know from the Kuzari, he writes that there are different levels of creations in this world, starting from the bottom up. You have what's called a doimim, which is an inanimate object like a rock. Then you have what's called a tzaimeach, which is a growing like grass or flowers or plants. Then you have what's called chai, which is an animal, all the animals of the world. And the fourth level is called medaber, that's a human being. But says the Kuzari, on top of the human being is Yisrael, is a Jew. Which means that the reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the entire universe is for the sake of Klal Yisrael, for the Jewish people. And therefore, if we are the center of the universe, if the world revolves around us, so then we have to be here in order for the world itself to have any real cause and effect and any real meaning. And therefore we're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the beginning, Zachreinu l'chaim. We are asking you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as you begin to examine all of the creations of the world today on Rosh Hashanah, and as we're going to see later on in our Musaf prayers, there's something called Zichronos. Zichronos are the remembrances that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has over the entire Bria, the entire creation. He remembers everything. And He examines everything. And He goes through all of our deeds, all of our actions, all of our thoughts, all of our words, every place that we went, every place we didn't go, how we used our legs, how we used our eye. Everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at and remembers. And we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu that as you are remembering us, and you are certainly finding things inside of our year of Tafshin Ayin Ches, 5778 on the Jewish calendar, that perhaps are not so good. Perhaps we made mistakes. We have to be honest with ourselves. We didn't always keep mitzvahs the way that we could have. We didn't always daven the way that we should have. We didn't always control our midas, our character traits, according to the way that was befitting of us. We spoke to our spouses that was below their dignity. We lashed out at them. We treated our kids not always with love and endearment and acceptance and understanding the way that we should. We went to the store and we got impatient in line and we started making faces. We started making faces, and the woman is in front of us trying to get 16 cents out of her pocketbook so she doesn't have to get any more change. She's getting nervous because of all the noise that we're making, like our life is so important. We did all these things. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is now examining, and He's watching us. And we say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we ask the following. I know you're going to see a lot of things that you don't like. There's going to be a lot of days over the last 365 of the year that maybe just erase it, maybe just press delete, maybe just edit it out over there. But we are asking today on the holy day of Rosh Hashanah and the Yisrael Semei Tshuva and Yom Kippur itself, Zachreinu l'chaim, that we are asking that if you truly believe that mankind, especially Klal Yisrael, is the center of the universe, and the entire creation was meant just for us, that we should accomplish and we should achieve and we should succeed in our Avodas Hashem. And in that way we're able to bring the Shekhinah down to this world. And that's truly Chaim, that's what life is really all about. Life is all about living the type of a life that finds favor in the eyes of Hashem. A life that brings Kiddush Shem Shemaim, the glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shekhinah to this world. A life that fills up the world with Kedusha and Tahara and purity and goodness and brach and all of those things. So then I'm committing myself today. That's what we're doing when we say these words. I'm committing myself from today and for the rest of the year to live a life that is going to be a nachas ruach, that is going to be a pleasure to you, Hashem. And therefore, Zachreinu l'chaim, please remember me for life, to give me a year in which I will be able to immerse myself in the life that you have in mind for all of us. That's our opening request that we have over here. The Mefarshim write that Zachrenu L'chaim is, we're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu to remember us for life in this world, in order that through this, through being in this world, the world of Asiyah, where I can do actions and mitzvahs and learn Torah and daven and do chesed and have mercy and make a bracha on my food and put on tzitzis, and I can shake a lulav and an esrog, and I can make challah and take it with a bracha, and all the different things that a person can do in this world. I'm asking you to remember me for life here in this world, in order that through a long life of Torah and of mitzvahs here, I will be zeicha, I will merit to have a true portion in the world to come. So we're not thinking at this moment about spiritual life. We are thinking about the world, the life here in this world. But the life in this world has to revolve around those things which really bring chaim, that bring life to a person. Life is when my neshama can breathe. Life is when my neshama is satisfied. Life is when my neshama feels that it's getting all of its needs being met, and that life is a life that revolves and is involved in Torah and in mitzvahs and tikkun amidos, correcting my character trait, and being concerted in my efforts to be an Oved Hashem, a servant of God. And therefore we say, Melech chafetz b'chaim. You are the king who desires life. So here is our introduction into the world of Rosh Hashanah, where we refer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as we're going to see over and over and over again. He is a melech, he is the king. And this is a very important aspect of Rosh Hashanah, because if a person misses out on this nakuda, this point, the whole Rosh Hashanah could come and go, and you'll miss the boat, as they say. The greatest schus, the merit that we have on Rosh Hashanah, is that Hashem, He sits on His throne as the Melech Malchei HaMelachim, the King of all kings, and He is judging over the entire world. What is He looking for in Rosh Hashanah from us? Now these are not my words, this is the idea of the Alei Shur Rav Wolbe, and Rav Wolbe writes that it's impossible that a person could come after an entire long year, show up on Rosh Hashanah, and I'm such a tzaddik. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I did such a good job this year. Everything was great. I didn't veer from the path at all. So no, let's finish up 2 days, give me a good judgment, and we'll move on. Impossibility. As we pointed out, we all know it wasn't like that this year. We all know, yes, there were strengths, there were good things that we've done, and for that perhaps we should pat ourselves on the back. At the same exact time, we all are honest enough to admit there are places that we fell short. So what's Hashem looking for then on Rosh Hashanah? Does He want to scrutinize all of the faults of the previous year? Does He want to look into the future and see all the mishaps that are going to arise? No. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to see one thing on Rosh Hashanah, and that is, how am I living on Rosh Hashanah itself? How am I accepting upon myself on Rosh Hashanah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Melech Malchei HaMelachim? How am I trying to daven, as we pointed out, with my tefillahs, my prayers, with kavana, atzuma, tremendous intention, to appreciate the value of that which Hashem has given me, to open my mouth in prayer before Him? How do I sit by my Yom Tov table? How do I eat my food? What's the conversation going on that's taking place? Am I speaking Torah? Am I singing songs? Do I say a nice comment to my wife? I know that she was working so hard in the kitchen all day on Sunday. The husbands are running around, they go to work, they play golf, they do all the great things to prepare themselves for Rosh Hashanah. And a wife is stranded in the house, cooking and baking and cleaning and this. Did a husband spend the appropriate time thanking his wife on Rosh Hashanah for all of the hard work and the effort that she put into each and every single meal that they eat, even if she forgot the salt in 3 out of 4 of the meals? No, so what? It's hard to be in the kitchen all day long and remember every single spice that you're supposed to put in. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows the mistakes we made last year. And He knows the mistakes that most likely we're going to make in the year up and coming. But on Rosh Hashanah itself, that defines the mensch, that defines who a person is. If I could go 2 days, as Rav Olber writes, 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, where I am in the realm of a tzaddik, of a righteous person, where I'm conscientious of my avodas Hashem, of my prayers, of my mitzvahs, my midos, my character, the way that I talk to others, encourage others, so on and so forth. Hashem says, since I see that today you recognize me as the Melech, that's why you're acting the way that you are, because you see that there's a Melech who's watching over you, and you want to make sure that you find favor in the eyes of the king, then of course, Zachreinu L'chaim, certainly I can remember you for life in the up and coming year. And that's what it means over here, Melech, Chafetz B'chaim. The commentators say, what does the king want? The king wants people to be written in the Sefer HaMavis, the Sefer of the Book of Death. He wants people not to be around next year? Of course not. Chas v'chalila. Hashem desires life. And more than that, He just desires life, even by the Rishoyim, by the wicked. Hashem would much rather they do tshuva than have to take them and remove them from this world. So we are saying, let it be that my action on Rosh Hashanah, is interesting to note, that on Rosh Hashanah, in all of our prayers, 2 days of davening, we never mention tshuva. We don't mention, I feel so bad, I'm so sorry, please Hashem forgive me. We don't mention it. All we mention is, Hashem, you are the Melech of the world. Because that itself is the greatest tshuva. When a person will recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the king over the universe and He's watching all of my deeds, now I catch myself. And now I say, you know what? I got to change. And I can't behave the way that I was last year. In this, He's saying, Melech Chafetz B'chaim, you Hashem, you're the king who desires life, which means you don't want to punish me for what I did last year. You don't want to take me out of this world for the things that I did last year. But if I show you that I recognize you as the king right now, that itself brings me into your world. It shows that I myself desire life. You are the king who's Chafetz Chaim, who desires life, and therefore I can be granted another year of life, Be'ez Hashem. V'chasveinu b'sefer hachayim. And we say over here, you should write us in the book of life. There really is a book that is up there in Shemayim in the heavens, and it's called the Book of Life. And on Rosh Hashanah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is deciding who He's going to be writing into that book. And He begins the process of writing it, and it says, Tzadikim, Nechtavim and Nechtamim, they are written and sealed immediately for life. Are we going to be tzaddikim who are going to be signed right away? No, we're not tzaddikim. So we are begging the Ribbono Shel Olam, please Hashem, let us be. Now we never ask, we're not just asking for ourselves. That would be selfish. That's why all of these words are written in plural form over here. Because if I am forgiven, but my friend is not forgiven, so then what kind of happiness in life is that? If I receive the brachas that Hashem's going to give me for the up and coming year, but my spouse or my children or my niece or my nephew or my neighbor, my friends, whatever it is, they don't get the same brachas, so then I can't feel completely satisfied with what Hashem has given me. If I'm written in the book of life, but not everybody else is coming along with me, so then it's not pure, enjoyable life for me. And therefore, chasveinu b'sefer chaim, write us all, Hashem, in to the book of life, that we should be there together in the up and coming year, a nation of servants of Hashem that are able to serve the King in the right way. And then we add these last three words, Lema'ancha Elokim Chayim. For your sake, Elokim Chayim, the living God. And here our Mefarshim tell us that I want you to know, Hashem, I'm not asking that I should have another year of life for myself, for my own frivolity, for my own enjoyment, for my own pleasure, for my own ascension into the world of taivas, of desires. That's not why I'm asking for life. The reason that I'm asking you for life, Ribbono Shel Olam, is because Lemancha, for your sake, if you will allow me to live in this world for another year, I will strengthen my reserve and my commitment to mitzvahs. I will learn more Torah. I will daven more. I will do more chesed. I will be more careful with my lashon hara. I will treat people in the way that they deserve to be treated. Please, Rebbeinu Shalom. And then it's l'ma'ancha, for your sake, because the more that I do in line with your ratzon, with your will, the greater is going to be the glory and the honor that will come to your Shekhinah and your holy name. And therefore, don't give me life for myself. I don't want it for myself. I want the schos to be able to elevate your name and your glory in this world. And therefore, for your sake, you should grant me another year of life. And that's how a person has to examine the days of Rosh Hashanah. Yes, it's true, we get very selfish on Rosh Hashanah. We're thinking about ourselves and our families, but it's not about me. It's not about them. It's about you, Rebbeinu Shalom. It's about you having a place in this world that you don't always have. It's about honor being bestowed upon the King of the universe when he often doesn't have the proper honor. It's about me acting in line in accord with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will, because through that, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Malchus, his kingdom, reigns with sovereignty and supreme. And therefore we say in the end, whether if I don't have the merits on my own, and I'm not going to be this center, paradigm example of what creation is all about, and perhaps I won't do enough of the Kabbalah's O Malchus Shemayim, where I accept the kingdom upon me right now, so then at least L'man Elokim Chaim, for your sake, Hashem, allow me to live so I could do more this year to glorify your name. Hey, that's the first of the extra prayers that we insert. Now you turn to page 64, the next page, and we add the following. Micha Meicha Av Harachamim. Who is like you, Av Harachamim, merciful Father? Zoicher Yitzurav L'chaim Berachamim, who recalls his creatures mercifully for life. And this also is, of course, a major part of our tefillahs on Rosh Hashanah, Aseh Simei Tshuva, and Yom Kippur. And that is, we have to know who we are talking to. We have to know how HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to deal with each and every one of us as individuals, as a family, as a community, and as a nation. We shift now from Hashem being the Melech. We said before, He's the Melech Chafetz B'chaim. He's the King who desires life. But we say that there's another aspect of Hashem's essence that we have to beseech upon on the Yomim Noraim. And that is Av Harachamim. He is the merciful Father. A king is able to enact any law that he wants to. A king, with the snap of a finger, can have somebody's head, Rahman al-Zan, cut off if he wants to. He can issue decrees. He can make changes in his government. He can oust people from their position, and he can kick people out of the land if he wants to. On the other hand, a king can also do whatever it is that he wants. He can be benevolent, he can be kind, he can be loving, he can be endearing, and he can take care of the people of his nation to the best of his abilities. But the Av Harachamim, but the Father of mercy, has a great mila, has a great advantage over the king. Because the Father is always most merciful to his children. A king, as much as he wants to have mercy on the subjects of his kingdom, fine, but it's always one step removed at least. But a father who looks at his child, sees his child in pain, sees them suffering, sees them in need, hears their cries, looks at on their face the consternation, the pain that is there, the worrisome, the anxiety, whatever it is, that heart of the father will break for his children. And then the midah, the attribute of rachamim, of mercy, overtakes him. And then he only wants to do whatever he possibly can to help his child through whatever difficult situation or event they are going through in their lives. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Melech, He's the King who can do anything. But He's also the loving, benevolent, and merciful Father who feels deeply attached to each and every one of us. Bonim atem laHashem Elokeichem. You are children to Hashem Elokeichem, to Hashem your God. Which means literally we are His child, and literally HaKadosh Baruch Hu is our Father. Now, the Mefarshim also speak out over here that as much as a father would like to do for the benefit of their children, as much as they would like to protect them and to save them and to give them blessings and to give them everything they need and take care of them, the father often has limitations. He might not be a powerful person. He might not have the money. He might not have the wherewithal or the ingenious to take away the difficult situation that the child is in. Whatever it might be, a father cannot always provide for his children what his children need. So on one hand, Hashem is the Father of Rachamim, of mercy. On the other hand, He's the Melech, He's the King also of Klal Yisrael, which means there's nothing that a king basically cannot do. And therefore, if from the side of the Father, Hashem has mercy on us, and He wants to grant us a good year, and He wants to write us in the book of life, and He wants to forgive us for all the things that we did wrong, but as the Father figure, He's not always able, quote unquote, to do everything that He wants to do. The Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, that Hashem is the King is limitless. There's nothing holding Him back from being able to enact any decision or decree or blessing upon the Jewish people who are all considered to be the children of Hashem. And therefore we need Hashem to be the Melech. We also need Him to be the Av. We have to be the Father. Zoicher Yitzurov L'chaim Berachamim. We ask Him, remember us, all of your creatures, for life with mercy l'rachamim. And this same idea as we are talking about, which is we acknowledge Hashem. We are not perfect. We made a lot of mistakes this year. We know it, but on Rosh Hashanah, Aser Simei Tshuva, on Yom Kippurim, we feel bad about those mistakes. And we want to change, and we want to be better, and we want to do things we promised you we would do last year. We'll try harder this year. And therefore, I'm asking you, Hashem, overlook the mistakes and Zoicher Yitzurov L'chaim Berachamim, remember us mercifully for life. Because without the constant Rachamim, the mercy that HaKadosh Baruch Hu inflects into the world, it would be impossible for a person to survive. That's really what our sages tell us, that in the beginning of time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to create the world b'midas hadin, with the attribute of justice. That was it. It was going to be a world of complete mishpat, of justice, and there would be no room for mistake. But then it says HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw the world would not be able to handle such a thing. So before He brought the justice into the world, He infused something called Midas Harachamim, the attribute of mercy. And mercy goes first, and then comes the Midas Hadin, comes the attribute of justice. Which means none of us would survive 1 second in our lives were it not for the fact that Hashem is running the world with the Midas Harachamim, with the attribute of mercy, being understanding, being slow to anger. When He punishes, it's never going to be to the end. He's going to find an easier way, shape, or form to bring about a consequence into our lives. He gives us time to recognize the error of our ways and to do tshuva. Whatever it means, Rachamim runs the world. Of course, we can't absolve the Midas Hadin, the attribute of justice, from the world. Otherwise, the world would just be hefkervelt, like we say. It would be a world where everyone's running around doing whatever they want, somewhat like society looks like today. But in the world of Hashem, There's rachamim and there's din, mercy and justice. And we're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu over here that although you're judging today as a king and you're scrutinizing our actions, we ask that you remember us, l'chayim berachamim, make sure that your midas harachamim, your trait of mercy, is what is overriding the decisions that you are making, in order that we could be zeiche b'din, we should merit to have a good judgment. Which means everybody has to acknowledge on Rosh Hashanah that we don't deserve another year of life. We have not really proven ourselves to be so valuable in the system of the machinery of the world that Hashem should decide, you certainly deserve. I tell over this story every year by the Yomim Noraim. One year, when I was in Eretz Yisrael for the Yomim Noraim, I davened Rosh Hashanah Yom Kipur by Rav Moshe Sternbach, who's one of the great halachic authorities of our generation. This story goes back about 18 years. So he was an older man already. He's now Kanai Nahar. He's from the Zikanim. He's from the elders of our generation. He is a tzaddik. He learns Torah all day long. He has svarim that he wrote, so many that they take up this much room on a shelf. He counsels people. He's an amazing person. It was Erev Yom Kippur, which means Yom Kippur did not even begin yet, and it was mincha time, and my seat for davening was not far from his. And during mincha of Erev Yom Kippur, he was crying like a baby. And I thought to myself, crying? Why is Rav Moshe Sternbach crying? He's a Talmid Chacham, he's a tzaddik, he lived in Yerushalayim so many years, he never saw things that we've seen over here in Los Angeles. His whole life is Kiddush. What is he crying about? Because that's what it is. No matter how great a person is, everybody has to recognize how much more I could be doing, how much more careful I could be with all my actions, how much better I could have performed that mitzvah with more enthusiasm and with more excitement, so on and so forth. And therefore, let me be honest with myself. How do I know that I'm going to withstand the judgment of Hashem on Rosh Hashanah? How do I know? So because we have one saving grace on Rosh Hashanah, and that is, who is like you, Father of all mercy? Mercy means He can overlook the things that we did wrong. And therefore, when you remember us on Rosh Hashanah, when you examine us on the Yisei Semei Tshuva, when you're making the final decisions on Yom Kippur to seal us into the book of life, it should be L'chaim berachamim, remember us mercifully for life. Because with that midas harachim, that attribute of mercy, it is impossible that you're not going to answer us favorably. And that's why it's brought down in the halacha that although we would think that when we walk into Rosh Hashanah, we should have great trepidation, we should be anxious, we should be nervous, we should be unsure of what the outcome is going to be. And therefore, who on Erev Rosh Hashanah can go and make themselves look so nice? Who can go and take a good shower and put on the nice Yom Tov Shabbos clothing? Who could tie their tie so they look so good? Who can comb their sheitel so that it looks the best it could? Who could do such a thing? You should be anxious and nervous. The king is coming to judge you. We should be, who could shave? Who could go to the mikveh? Who could get a haircut? Who could do all these things? We should be with high anxiety. But since that we trust in Hashem, that we're going to come to Rosh Hashanah, we're going to find favor in His eyes, and Hashem is going to grant each and every one of us a ksiva v'chasim atayva, a year that we are written and sealed in the book of life. Therefore, we come into Rosh Hashanah relaxed, calm, peaceful, because we realize, Hashem, you're the Ava Rachamim. And the Father of mercy, I don't have to worry about. The Father of mercy, He's looking to be merciful and to be kind. You know, the kid, when he gets into trouble, he always goes to the parent that he thinks has the most mercy on him. He doesn't go, if his father is more strict, he never goes and tells his father. Sometimes the mother is the one who's strict, he never goes and tells the mother. He comes to the father and he says, my Rebbe, this and that, I got in trouble, suspended, okay, fine, whatever. Hashem's the Ava Rachamim. He's the Father of all mercy, and we trust and we rely upon His mercy on the days of Rosh Hashanah, and in that schos, Be'ez Hashem, as we write Zoicher, Yitzurav, L'chaim Berachamim, He should remember each and every one of us, our families, our communities, all of Klal Yisrael, L'chaim Berachamim, for mercifully for life, so that we should be written and sealed in the Sefer HaChaim, not just the book of life, but as we say elsewhere, Sefer Chaim Tovim, it should be the book of good life, not a life of suffering and of difficulties, of tragedies, Rachmana litzlan, but rather a life in which all is good, with the brachas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu coming, min hashamayim, coming from the heavens for each and for every one of us.